Since you embarked on the international art scene, you've had experience working in big galleries, big museums, big different venues. And right now in Zagreb, you're exhibiting in a small gallery, actually not a gallery at all, it's a library. So can you compare these two experiences?
Well, first of all, I love books. I love books and I love this kind of atmosphere of books, reading. And somehow lately, in the last years, somehow, I cannot give you reasons, but I was involved in projects connected with libraries. Well, they invite me to do things. I'm now involved in Romania with 3. So when I got the invitation, first I said, I love it. I said, oh, okay. I didn't know the space, I didn't know how it looks. You know. And then when I got the first images, then I said, well, this is also like, it's really interesting, this setting. And it's also interesting, it's not in the center. You know, it's like in one of the neighborhoods, and it's, in a way, it's like so modest. So I think these spaces are really important. I mean, for me. I try all my career is based on this idea not to create hierarchies, big museums, small Kunsthalle, stuff like that, but to somehow try to accommodate the situation, you know. And from a practical point of view, sometimes in spaces like that you feel much well treated and respected, that in big machines, big museums on the wall, that you're one of the 100 who could just pass by. So it's also a question that for me as an artist, sometimes I felt that I'm doing much more, my work is much more important, or can change or can do something in spaces like that than in, you know, the temple of contemporary art.
How much did this specific setting in the library influence the structure of the exhibition itself?
I usually work very at random, and I have a kind of a practice half and half. So half of the drawings I bring with me in a kind of repertoire, and half I invent it on the place. But it's nothing calculated, it's by instinct, it's like jazz, you know. So I start in a place and I go all over until, you know, the opening is coming here. Because these are books. The library is cut into one part with kids and traditional haircut. And one part, this part here is more with books, journal books, and people coming to read newspaper, news. So it's the newsroom. So I usually don't do this, but I chapterized my drawings. I put them on categories. You know, I give them a title, and then I put them, every window it's a chapter. So I don't usually do that. So it was also for me interesting to see. And then I have to decide, because there are 11 windows, what chapters. And this is complicated nowadays, selection. In my projects, I don't select, I just put, I feel so free, I don't have to think of it, just by instinct, you know, it's a story in the news, I made it, I don't question if it's extra or necessary, I just do it. And here I had to select, the space is limited, I also have to select from the range of drawings I did on this topic since years, so this is a kind of anthology of my own drawings on each of these chapters: culture, United States, Russia, Zagreb. There's a chapter Zagreb, and then, you know, about capitalism, about economy, about all this kind of stuff. Well, the title of the project is called the Zagreb Report. So in a way, it's not a report about Zagreb, but from Zagreb. That's the idea. What's the state of the world now? How are we now? So this is it.
You always work with a specific local context, but what does this context actually consist of? We can see in the drawings there's local issues, but also global issues. Can you explain this?
I'm not stressing too much myself. I'm more like time specific than site specific. You know, I mean, in this case, it's the architecture of the window who dictate the drawings have to be smaller, and I have to work black and white. So somehow the feature here asks me a certain technique. If I will be in a very big space and I have 5 days, I have to do drawings like this. So this is the, and then I let myself in the flow of news. Let's say that if something very big happens now in the world, I will put it, right? Well, my research is not very profound because I don't have time. So it's based on what I can see on the street, what I can talk with people. And according to this kind of little information I gather together, I make some kind of a statement. I made a selection based on that. So, but you know, our countries are kind of similar. So in a way, everything I discuss here, I kind of recognize, you know, corruption, the mayor in jail, stuff like that, you know, new nationalism, you reinvent your heroes, you know, like all these countries, they have to after communism and whatever, they have to reinvent the national flower, the national bird, the poet. So it's like a process of re-identification in a global world which change constantly. So I recognize some of these elements, even I'm living in Bucharest in a neighborhood like this. But we don't have a library. It's just supermarket now. Everything, yeah.
Basically, to do your work, you only have to carry around a marker pen and a notebook in a way.
Yes.
So,
but I also need a fee.
Well, do you see this as sort of a practicality, or is it also a statement of modesty, perhaps?
Both. It's also, well, I was very proud about this, that I can make it by myself, you know, just leave me alone in a place and I manage. Then I got some criticism that this is like ultimate neoliberal artist. We can be adaptable, mobile, can be in the plane all the time, you know. And I was thinking, you know, without my intention I can be seen as something which I am not. So in this sense, my drawings are made this in the temporary mode because they cannot be collected such way, just to, in a way, to keep a sort of freedom, you know, from this kind of theory. But it is, I'm conscious that in our days art is becoming, it's like football or like Hollywood movies, you know, they don't speak about the content of a movie, they speak about how much money they got in the first weekend. They didn't speak, you know, so there's how much money cost Messi, right? So we are speaking money. So I tried to downgrade this budget to make it as simple as possible, as modest as possible. This is, you can easily take it out, so you don't have to pay somebody to, you know. So I tried to make it friendly also for the organizer, not to create problem. I don't come with a spray. How big artist I am, and I don't care what happens with this after I go. I think it's art is also like a responsibility, and I try to give a model, make it more normal, not so sophisticated, you know.
Most of your work is ephemeral. It gets erased. It's replaced by something else after the exhibition ends. Don't you get emotionally tied to a certain thing?
Well, yes, but now I grew accustomed, so I really like how it looks here during the day and during the night. So, but there will be this documentation photography. In some cases, I know because the drawings I made, and if they are good, I will replicate them on other walls. So somehow they are alive still, or they're not, you know, so that they are physically erased here, but as an idea, they will stay with me. And then it's a question also of part of my practice. Every time this is erased, so I have this chance to make it again. And I have to tell you something which is really, really serious. When I come out of the communism, so I was like an artist since about 3-4 years after graduating Academy of Art, and then the communists collapsed. So I become like suddenly in a free country, able to travel, to go around. So I realized this kind of enormous potential of this as a freedom tool, not necessarily as a market tool. So I tried not to enter this market and to stay on this freedom path. And this is the price I have to pay. And I'm paying it. And there's another thing here. I come, well, from a kind of generation which is very anti-communist, right? Now, 25 years later, I migrate more to the center-left in thinking. So I can change my drawings. I can switch the way I looked at things. 20 years ago was different than the way I'm looking now. So this fact that they are not there on the walls in some museum give me the chance to rethink that topic, maybe have a different angle of view, and this makes me feel very comfortable with what I do.
Much of the work looks automatic and improvised, but on the other hand, do you prepare yourself with sketches, or do you have a sort of a drawing library of images that you use and reuse?
I have a library, mainly about 200 drawings. But this is in and out, so some goes out, some goes in, and it goes like the last 20 years, but it goes with me 20 years like that. And then I'm working on a spot. So everything you see here is rehearsed. I made this drawing 40 times, or some from the beginning, and I keep repeating in every exhibition I do. And some are new. But it's like, as an idea, they are already fixed in a notebook. So on the material, on the walls, I'm just selecting. I select from here and I put. So the execution, I can do this in one day. But what is what my interest is in my project is like this. So I need time in order to look at things in a certain way. You have to settle, even here. If you come and you wait here sometimes and you look how people come and read newspaper, after 3-4 hours you have a different understanding as if first you just look like that, you know. So I need time in order to find other and remember other drawings we can do. But it's deeply rehearsed. Like the execution is very spontaneous. I can mistake and I don't care. But as a form, it's deeply rehearsed. And I have drawings I draw the last 20 years, and I keep changing, maybe one word, maybe the way I do the head, and maybe so I'm still working with them.
Some parts of the exhibition are inspired by Croatia, or what you had the chance to investigate here. So what are like the 5 things you remember as most important motifs you've encountered?
About the Croatia?
Environment.
The Croatia?
Yes.
Well, it's complicated. It's like, well, you know, you have 2 days ago you have this memory thing right here with candles and lighting. So this is one thing you think about. This is a country who was part of a different combination of countries, now exiting that one and entering the other one with European Union. So this is a passage and a transformation first. So, memory, that's why the chapter with war, it's a memory of a tragedy which is recent. So it did not fade away, it's still here. Third, it's a question of borders. There's a drawing with a border here, because how you put the border? Well, countries which are not in European Union, are they European or not? Well, Eurovision includes Russia and Turkey in the singing contest, right?
Yeah, and Israel.
And Israel. That's a different Europe there. So, what kind of... Then I make like a play of words from Yugoslavia to you. To you as you. You know, so there's this passage to re-identify ourselves. And that's Croatia. Well, and of course I'm a guy like any other regular guy. I'm like so Marian Cilic, you know, footballers, you know. Well, immediately you click with the image of somebody you know, and I do the same, and I'm okay with it. Well, I have to tell you because I know the artists. That's, for me, it's a little different because I know Sanja Iveković and I know Mladen Stilinović and Goran Petarcol. And so I know part of this very great artists from Croatia. So every time you see Croatia, I think about it. It's a click. Then is Dubrovnik, right?
Of course.
You cannot avoid. But this is interesting because that's what I work. I work with cliché stereotypes, the absolutely things tourists see, and I also love them. I'm not so profound all the time. I like things, normal things. Yeah.
How important is the role of humor in your work?
It's the most important, I think. It's the most important, but it's like it comes naturally to me now. It's like part of my practice somehow to make ironic, self-ironic, humorous statement. But this is because I'm afraid as a human being to make, like humor still allows some kind of a room, some kind of space. And it's even, people don't take it so seriously, so they are not so offended. You can play a little more. Like I do things which for a photographer will be complicated to do. Because photography is understood as truth. And this is cartoon, it's okay, So I profit about that. So I try to even find a possibility to make people I criticize to laugh. Or, to somehow create a different understanding.
Maybe we could talk a bit about the character of the humor. It's never really cynical, it's never sour, it's more like empathic.
Well, I like you say this because a lot of people see as cynical and I'm not. And even if my drawing probably is more harsh, that was not my intention. But I cannot control all the meanings. Sometimes you'll be amazed. I have a very clear drawing and I'm absolutely confident about the content, and then now with the Facebook I see how people understand it. It's like, what? Anyway, so yeah, I want to be empathic in the sense of understanding stuff. Well, we are living in a world which is very, very nervous and very easy to hate. So I can make drawings which creates misunderstanding, and but I don't want that. I don't want that. I have maybe the instinct comes from this very complicated times of communism. So I don't want to have troubles. I want to, everybody to love me and likes me. I don't want to be, So in a way, even if I step in dangerous territory, sometimes with religion, what really do I know about Croatia to make a drawing about, or about United States, But I try to make it such a way that it doesn't create hate. Right?
You mentioned communism quite a lot. To what extent did the revolution of 1990 influence your work and you as a person?
For me, a lot. Because I was, I graduated in 1985, so I lived as a professional artist about 5 years in the communists, but in the worst period of the communists and in the worst communist you can imagine. Maybe the Albanians were the worst than us. So I could not express, I could not travel, we didn't have information. And when this fell, then the world was open to me. And I was also free to choose what I want. Until that, it was very strict. It was complicated. So in a way, for me, everything changed with that year. I mean, I was preparing for a change. I prepared myself because I studied painting, but I was more attracted to graphic art. So I tried to make a language from the graphic art. And then when it was possible, I just jumped into this. These my teachers, if they see this. So a lot of people don't understand this as art. But I felt free to choose it. And this came after the revolution in the East. That changed everything.
Since the fall of the Berlin Wall, artists in many of the countries of the former Eastern Bloc kind of dug out the heritage of the avant-garde or the heritage of some sort of conceptual art from the 60s and 70s. What was the case with Romania? Did some sort of art scene exist in that sense at that period,
well,
before the...
Apparently it was, but I knew only now, because it was, Romania was very, very close and very well controlled, so the information did not circulate from one city to another. Mm-hmm. And then I did an art academy in the east part of Romania, so we're totally isolated, you know. And then I didn't know a lot of things, so you can imagine, like a part of the very famous Dada movement in this planet is made by some Jewish people from Romania, Tristan Tzara, Victor Brown. I had no idea this existed. They didn't teach us this. I barely reached Picasso in my education, right? So, well, what I saw at the time, and while I remember, I was not very, I even now think it was not big things. Basically, they did a lot of shit, well, under the oppression. But there are positions, some individual positions which are remarkable, and I got to know them after the change. And, well, but it was in a way too late to incorporate in my thinking and in my, you know, and even me, I'm like, I'm supposed to be an 80s artist, but I'm known, this comes after 2000. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm not showing the art from the 80s. I'm always invited for what I do now, which is super cool. Mm. Because I know all these people which are fantastic artists, and they got always invitation for what they've been, not who they are, which is strange, you know. I don't know how it's for them that's constantly showing works from 30 years ago.
It must be frustrating.
I think it's frustrating. So, well, this is a particularity of Romania, because we have to relearn and reinvent this context we never knew about. Maybe if I would be in the capital city in Bucharest, probably people there knew a little bit more. But I literally didn't. And then we have, my wife is also an artist, so we got some luck to know these persons. They are not very open, you know, they are more private persons. Well, but my general statement is different than the one here. So I think Romanian art was not good.
Mm-hmm. Just simple as that.
Yeah, I think literature, they were much better, and I think also in theater. And they found a way to adapt with the theater to the realities, and the artists not. Mm-hmm. Well, actually the dissidents are only literary people.
How does the art system in Romania function today, nowadays? What are its strongest resources and what are its weaknesses?
Well, you know, that's why I told that we are similar a little bit. Like, so the state becomes more weak, so they don't have money. They cut first in culture usually. So somehow it's shrinking with the budgets and vision and something. And they think like here, maybe if they make a big art museum, that's it. They solve the problem. Mm-hmm. But there's not like that. I mean, well, the scene is balanced now in the market, because the only money are from private sector and, frankly speaking, outside Romania. So there are galleries and artists who live like me, from the money they get going and exhibiting in Germany or in France, or, you know, not with the resources local. So it was like 15 years ago, it was much more kind of in a non-profits territory. Now they migrate in the profit territory. So if the contemporary art was sponsored in Romania in the beginning of the 90s, the Soros Foundation and all these foundations, now the main sponsors are the Erste and Bank and Unicredit Bank. So they are two. Well, this is the reality. And well, for my surprise, and maybe you are more familiar, or people are more familiar with the Romanian film was very successful in the last 10 years.
New Romanian wave.
The new Romanian wave, so they got prizes. So there was also a new Romanian wave in painting and in arts. There are artists living in Romania who are represented by major gallery in New York, and they do well in the market, in fairs. There's 3 galleries, Romanian galleries, who participate in big art fairs. So these somehow occupy all the scene. Everybody's speaking money. And somehow the more experimental, radical and resistant part was done by the choreographer and dancer who used the body, like we did 25 years ago. So it's an interesting migration. Well, Romania is big, 20 million people, 4 major cities, 2 of them with a very clear art scene, Bucharest and Cluj. So there's a competition in between them, so that creates attention and energy. So in a way, one can say that there is interesting there, but it may happen you come and you see nothing interesting, or so. I have a conflictual statement here, because I think for as if you look in the content, I'm not so interested. If you look at the global reach, well, we're cool. We did good pavilions in Venice Biennale, got all these reviews. There's some exhibition, Romania Art Forum is coming to review. The Tate Moderna members of the acquisition committee just scanned Romania. 3 years ago, MoMA came, So there's a certain attention. If it's to look at the works, well, we can talk. Because in my opinion, a lot of the works produced today are just very clever, superficial political art, and very good for Taschen catalog, or very good for a cover of an art magazine, maybe art fairs, and maybe in some biennials, but that's it. I don't see there more deep. It's like just a lot of people now, because they are in a free world and they can mix information and practices, and they are clever to hook them. They found a way how to get in, right? And it's not about their own thinking. It's more about how to get into this market. But I'm critical. I'm critical to do it. I may be wrong. Yeah, I don't know.
You're quite active on Facebook, so you worked on 2 kinds of walls, the physical walls and the Facebook wall. What do you find most inspiring with this medium?
I didn't realize at the beginning. I just used it as a kind of to advertise my shows and my lectures, right? But then in time I realized people are kind of like the statements I do, and in some cases even they need them. I've been asked. I participated with drawings to some protests, like in Gezi Park in Istanbul, and people share the drawings, and I find myself having some kind of a social role or whatever. And then people ask me, say, "Hey, Dana, somebody from Syria, can you do something about us?" Can you imagine? I say, well, I try, give me some. And now I was involved several, big time, in some protests in my country, in some political position, with drawings, not there, not being on the fight with police, but from outside, like a drone, and sending images in. And these guys, they download, put on, So this is different than a gallery, than a museum, than an art history. This is something else. You can read people commenting on what I do, and they are not trained in art history. They just look at the drawing, not contextualizing it, not putting, not Basquiat, not, just the drawing, and they say, well, that's cool, not cool, it's bad. So for me, it's like a different territory, and now I'm learning how to use this Facebook wall. This is different than this one, it's a different stuff. So I'm accommodating with it.
Thank you for a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, look at my Facebook.
Come on.